Well, good afternoon and welcome to another exciting edition of Mr. Mortenson's Math. Today we're going to be looking at how do we round numbers. How do we round numbers? It is part of our first section of Unit 1.2 here at Americana. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, just very simply, is we're going to show how we look for place value numbers and how we actually round and the reasonings behind why we round to build on the concept of learning it. So if I have the number 367, it's a pretty solid number there. It's a three-digit number. I have a hundreds place, a tens place, and a ones place. And if I look at it and I say I want to round this to the nearest tens place, I'm going to make sure that I circle the number that I want to round. That's a nice little visual that helps me out. And I'm going to underline the number that's going to help me understand if I'm going to round up or if I'm going to round down. So I'm looking at 7. And if you have your standard number line here, if this is 1, I'm going to go all the way on my number line to number 10. You can fill it in with, here's 2. Actually, let's make this a 0. Let's make that a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10 is over here. When we're rounding to whatever place value, we're using the tens place value this time. This is going to help me figure out which way I'm going to round. I'm looking at the number 7, and if I actually find it on my number line, I can clearly, just by looking at it, I can tell that it's closer to the number 10 than it is to the number 0. It's only 1, 2, 3 digits over from 7 to 10. Whereas if I went towards 0, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 places. So if we really look at our number line here, we can tell that 5 is the middle between 0 and 5 and 10. We can count that out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's the number that really tells us whether or not we round up or we round down. There are many ways that people can say it. You can say 5 or above. I give that number a shove. Or you can say that any number below 5 is not a power number. It's not as strong. It's a weaker number. So 5 below is a weaker number, while 5 and up is a strong number. It can push people up, push other numbers up. Any way is fine, just as long as we understand the concept that when we are going to round, if the number is larger than 5 or larger, we round up, and below 5 we round down. The number here that I'm looking at to round is 7, and 7 is clearly larger than 5, so I'm going to round up. So I'm going to change this number, and I'm going to realize that this is, like we've learned earlier, this is a place value digit. This is saying that this is 60. If I'm going to round up a 10, my next 10 to round up is actually 70. So there's my 7 tens, because that's my tens place value. After I've rounded, the numbers that come after will be 0, because it has no more place value there, because I've gone from 67 to 70, because I have 7 tens and 0 ones. That's the basic premise behind rounding. I'm going to stick with rounding with a number to the tens. And I'm going to go to the next number. I'm going to keep my number line up here just to keep my eyes focused on what I need to do, but I'm going to switch up my colors because I'm crazy like that. And once again, I'm rounding to the nearest 10. So I know that I'm looking at that digit. Hundreds place, tens digit, ones place. I'm circling that number. I'm underlining that number. This is the number that tells me whether or not I'm going to round up or down. If I'm looking at this, I see that the number that will tell me whether or not to round is 3. 3 is less than 5. That means that I will round down. Okay, so I know my hundreds won't change. But you said round down, Mr. Mortensen. Do I change this to a 1? No, you wouldn't change it to a 1, because what you really have here, remember, is a tens value. So it's really 20. It would either round down to 20 or round up to 30. So it would either round down to 20 or it would round up to 30. Okay? So I put my 2 in my tens place. And then because I have no more 1s now, because I'm rounding down, I have my 0 there. If I round this number to the nearest 10, it's 420. Let's try one more, and then you guys can have all the fun in the world with all the numbers that you can possibly see. Here's the next number. The next number I'm going to put here, I'm going to put 746. That sounds like a good number. 746. Circle my tens digit, underline my ones digit. The ones digit here will tell me whether or not I'm going to round up or round down. Looking at the 6, I look at my number line and I clearly see that 6 is larger than 5, which means I'm going to round it up. If it's a strong number, it's 5 or above, give it a shove. I'm looking at this number to tell me which 10 to round this to. Clearly, if I'm going to round up to one more 10, the next 10 is 50 from 40, so my answer is 750. Thank you so much for listening to me babble on with learning, and I hope you've grasped this concept. Thanks for listening.